Hey, good day everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to do a 1-year review of my 2025 Chevy Silverado 3500 HD Trail Boss. I could have done a review when I first got it, like going over it, but there was a bunch of videos out there already of that, and I just wanted to do a review after having one for a year. And this one has almost 19,000 miles on it. A lot of driving. Stay tuned and we'll get started. So again, this is my 2025 Silverado 3500 HD. I went with the 3500 because actually it sounds weird, but you could get it cheaper than the 2500. I don't know why. And the dually actually wouldn't have been much more, if not less expensive, because they don't have the Trail Boss option in a dually. The reason I went with the Trail Boss option is because it has this front end, and the headlights here, turn signals here. On like the regular LT and the work trucks, they have like driving lights here. They have driving lights here, and then the headlights are down here. And I just thought this front end looked a little cooler. It does have driving lights down here. And the Trail Boss comes with the red hooks. I also didn't want to go with the LTZ or the High Country. Those options are pretty expensive, and you get just about everything the same, except, you know, the seats obviously a little different, but not a big deal to me. One of the options I did go with are the clearance lights up on the top. I think they were like $55 option or something, so it wasn't that bad. They do have all the trucks have the intake. And with the Trail Boss option, it came with they call it like the blackout option. So like your bow tie, Z71. Even up here on the hood is in black instead of the chrome. The Z71 here, all the numbering and lettering, they put that in black. And if you get that on other trucks, it's actually a more expensive option. They put the Trail Boss in the black, and on the Silverado and the LT, I added this. It costs like $10, I think, and they're not thin either. They're actually pretty thick. They stick really well. Had them on other trucks, no problems. So what is the Trail Boss option on the heavier trucks? Well, it doesn't have the 2-inch lift that the 1500s have. You do get the Rancho shocks. You get the more aggressive tires. I have had a 1500 Trail Boss previous to this truck with the 20-inch wheels, but it did not come with the aggressive tires. It had some Bridgestones on there, but they were still good off-road. I did go with the 20-inch wheels. Do have some they're BF Goodrich all-terrain TAs, and the size on these is a 275 65 20. And of course the load range is like an E. So you have the tires that'll be able to handle towing weight. But you'll see that on most trucks nowadays. E-rated tires are pretty common, even on 1500s. And of course on the Trail Boss option, you get your little logo on the tailgate. On the 1500s, the dash is different. It actually will light up and say Trail Boss. This one still just says Z71. I don't know why Chevy decided to do that. It would have been, to me, I think, a lot more cooler if they would have put the Trail Boss logo into the dash as it turns on, and I'll demonstrate that when I go to the interior. So one of the standard features is the block heater, which is a good idea if you live up north. We don't need them here in Florida. And there is a cord that comes with it. It's stored inside the truck in the rear, underneath the rear seat. Again, this is the front suspension. Sorry if it's a little dark, but it does have the Rancho shocks. I don't know if that makes a huge difference. On my truck, I did go for the wheel liners. And if you go into the mud or off-road or anywhere, I'll tell you what, those things make a huge difference. So this have the rear liners also, but otherwise all this would be exposed. Up in here would be exposed, and it would be a whole lot of extra cleaning. And you can see on the 3500 you get the extra leaf spring up here. Of course, it's 8 lug. And I went with the single rear wheel instead of the dually, just because if I wanted to go off-road I could. Granted, this truck is heavy, and going through the mud, it might have more tendency to sink than a lighter truck. The other option I did on this, I went with the full-length bed, so it's like an 8-foot bed. And one nice thing about that, and one way to tell these trucks if it's a long bed or the shorter bed, is this gap right here. So you have your side step, and the wheel well will actually be way up here, where here it's got a whole lot of space. I do have, mine again is the 6.6 liter Duramax. So you got your diesel, and the only drawback to that is you got to have diesel exhaust fluid, which is basically, from what I understand, pig urine or ammonia. I don't understand the reasoning of burning ammonia to make something cleaner. That's the environmentalist for you. Sorry. I did add the steps here. They're just regular ones. They don't retract or anything like that. Got them through Chevy, pretty inexpensive. And if you buy a vehicle, they have like a rewards program. So they pretty much, by the time I bought this truck, they pretty much paid for themselves. And again, it is Duramax with the Allison 10-speed transmission. My other Trail Boss, on my 1500, I had the 3-liter Duramax, which was a straight 6 diesel. Awesome truck. It had a 10-speed transmission, but not the Allison. That's one reason why I ended up getting the heavier duty truck, because I knew that the towing and stuff that I do, even though it's not that often, but I still do it, it would end up probably becoming a problem. And on the 3-liter Duramax at 150,000 miles, you have to change the timing gears and chain, and that's on the back of the engine. So they basically have to remove the engine and transmission, which pretty much is taking the cab off nowadays, I think, to do that. So that would have been a very expensive maintenance item that I won't have on this truck. You do have your mirrors, larger mirrors. My other Trail Boss, that was not an option. There are 1500s that you can get with these mirrors, but on the Trail Boss, this was not available. So the mirrors will fold in when you lock the truck, and when you unlock the truck, they will rotate out. The other thing you can do, and I'm going to see if I can do this with one hand or not, these do extend. And you basically have to pull down and out. So it's not too hard to do. Unfortunately, it's not automatic, but you know, you'll see people driving around like this. I don't know why. You see it on the Dodge trucks. People drive with their mirror sticking 6 foot out from the side of the truck and they got nothing going on. Maybe they're trying to see into the past or something. I don't know. But it just slides back in. So pretty nice. I have not even tried it yet with those mirrors out. I do have a camper that's about 33 foot long. I've left them here. I haven't had any problems. I had a 24 foot equipment trailer. Still didn't have any problems. Also, it has a push button here that will also, if you have your key with you, key fob, will lock and unlock the doors. I have it set up inside where it locks all of them. And same with the remote, just hit it once, it locks all the doors. And there is a key option on this one. Some of the other trucks, I think on my 1500, didn't even have that. On the mirrors, these are lights. So if you turn on the bed light, so if you turn on the bed light, these also come on. It's kind of nice, but if you're walking back towards the mirror, they are bright and they kind of hamper your vision because they're going right into your eyes. There is a camera on each mirror, so that helps with your trailering and the panoramic view of the truck. You have a couple different cameras here on the tailgate, and this is a push button. It's not like the old days with the latch. You just push the button and it'll make a chiming noise and it will lower down. It does have the bed liner from the factory. That's a nice option. It's hard to see here because it's kind of under the toolbox, but it is kind of cool. I think they put a bow tie at the front of the bed there. I do have the option for the fifth wheel. If you get a 3500, even a 2500, it's not that expensive. It's a lot cheaper to do it from the factory than trying to do it afterwards, and just a lot easier. So it comes with the little pucks that cover up the holes. Also, you have an outlet for 120 volts. It's like 400 watt max. Not going to power a lot, but if you got battery chargers and whatnot for tools, it'll definitely handle that. You get hooks, so you can use to help tie down, you know, if you have straps, which is nice. And it's on the front too. I have a couple of D-rings hanging off of those. There are lights on each side of the bed that come on. So for your fifth wheel and gooseneck trailers, they have your connectors here. There's the 4-wire one, and then of course your 7-pin. And that comes with the fifth wheel option. And you would definitely want that. You wouldn't want to try to run wires back outside of the truck. And this wheel, the tailgates nowadays are light. I think they're just made out of aluminum. Just lift it up there, and it'll lock itself. So on the rear of the truck, it does have a 7-pin. It does not have the 4-pin, so you would have to get an adapter. And these are actually for camera connections. Look like little coaxial connections in there. And it has the little diagrams on there. Front, and I have like a rear and a front. This is for the spare tire access. Just pop that open. Got a little lock in there. You pop that out, and you can put in the rod to lower down your spare tire. It comes with a Class 5 hitch. So this is, it's like 2.5 inch square. If you got like a 1500 or a smaller truck, you're going to have a Class 4, which is a 2-inch sleeve, and they do have, the truck comes with the sleeve to fit in there. And the hitch I have here is 20,000 pound capacity. It's also used for, you can have it as a pintle. This would raise up. And of course, Chevy has the steps cut into their bumpers, which is really nice for somebody who's not very tall like me. It helps a lot, and plus getting old and body aches. And of course, Chevy's had these out for a while. The steps on the side of the bed on the 2500 and up, they don't put that on the 1500. I don't know why. It would be a nice option, but it's on the 2500s and 3500s. Another option I have is the rear window. It's a sliding window. It is electric, so you don't have to have somebody back there opening and closing it. I rarely use it. If I have my goats in the bed of the truck, I'll open it just so I can hear anything that might be going on with them. So this is the interior of my truck. I do have cloth seats with Sketcher car seats over that. I keep a t-shirt here because some of the work I do on the weekends, sometimes I get pretty hot and sweaty and dirty, so I don't want my seats getting all messed up. They are power seats, so you can go forward, backward. You got your recline and lumbar settings. And I apologize, they're a little dirty. I just wanted to show the truck as it is. But I did go with the WeatherTech mats from the factory. It's not a very expensive option, so that made it pretty nice. And they are also in the rear of the truck. Sorry, still shows shoes. And this is the rear seats. You do have headrests you can adjust. They have little storage areas here. And this is the cord for the block heater. This is actually my build. I ordered this truck the way I wanted it. I found that to be the best way to get something you want, and you can put stuff in and out. It's not you can put stuff in and out that maybe you want or don't want. Alright, so if you lift this up, I got stuff up there of course, so it's not going to go all the way up and stay. There's storage underneath here. So at one point I was going to try to do hot shotting. It's one reason why I got the truck. And so I have a fire extinguisher there and a first aid kit. Also keep gloves in here, some towels. You can put other items in there if you wanted to. And on the door, rear door, all you just have for your window. Of course, the door latch, speakers. It does have for the child safety lock. I'm pretty sure that's mandatory on all vehicles now. This is the passenger rear seat. It's the 40 part of the split. Again, you have this opens in the middle. You do have this pulls down. It's got a couple cup holders in there. It also has its own headrest. You got hooks there for car seats. I know these are not latches. This part of the seat do not fold down. So this will fold up. You got your jack and another hitch that I have in here. Doesn't come with it, but it does come with that. That is the sleeve to go from class 5 to class 4 for the smaller hitches, like the 2-inch receivers or the 2-inch hitches. You can see the material, pretty nice stitching. People will complain about today's vehicles, and there are reasons to complain, but it is the interiors are definitely nicer, last longer. The headliners last longer. As you can see, I don't have a sunroof. They have a spot for it, but I didn't do that. Also in the rear, you got your LED lights, and there are hooks for hanging clothes or whatever you need to hang up there. And you have 2 AC vents along with the USB-C, USB, and another 120 volt outlet. This truck does not have, it seems like the newer vehicles, even my last Trail Boss, they do not have the old style 12 volt outlet, like what we call a cigarette lighter. They do not have that, so they do make an adapter that can plug in here and go to the 12 volts. All right, on the passenger side, this is a manual seat. It's not electric. I don't know that the option is there for a LT. I think you have to go LTZ and above to get an electric seat. I could be wrong. I'm not sure. Again, it has the WeatherTech all-weather floor coverings. Again, this is the material for on the front seat. Pretty nice stitching. They're comfortable to me. I've heard people say that the LTZ seats and those leather seats, and then when you go up to the high country, that they're even more comfortable. I haven't had a problem, so I don't know. On the door, you have your unlock lock, of course, window control. There's an access panel here. It's a little hard to pull off, so I'm not going to try it. You have your glove box. I do keep flashlights on me, and there is a storage space in here. Your AC vents, which don't have, you have to turn them on and off this way. I guess that's all right. And this is the center console. It actually flips into a seat. I have a bunch of stuff underneath there, so this turns into a seat. Sorry, it's a little dusty because I don't use it. And it has its own little seat belt. And then there is also storage under here. I added this, but has a lock on it even. You can lift it up, and there is storage space in there. Of course, you would have to have this up. Try that again, which locks in place, and then this opens. If you do use this, it does lock in place. There's a little thing here you pull. That will unlock it. Over here you have another USB and USB-C connector. Again, there is no 12 volt connection. There also is no 120 volts. If you get the regular center console here, it has another storage space, like this lifts up, but you have another storage space, and it also comes with the cordless or wireless phone charger, and inside will have 120 volt. At least on my 1500 it did. I would assume that on the other trucks with that option they do the same thing. Need to unlock the truck. see that it does this here, and I'll do that over there. On the 1500 Trail Boss, that would actually have the Trail Boss emblem, which is kind of cool. And you have your push start, pushed in the brake. So on your driver's door, you have controls for all 4 windows. This one is automatic. The passenger side will go down automatically, but you have to manually raise it. I don't know why they did that. You have your mirror position here, driver's side, passenger side. This will fold in your mirrors, so I press this button, the mirrors will come in, and that's handy if you're going through some drive-thrus or whatnot. You don't have to worry about hitting the mirrors. This is just to lock the windows. Of course, you have your lock and unlock. This is your parking brake. They are electric now. They don't have the old foot style or handbrake style. This is for your 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive. Got pushed in a little bit. My knee actually hit that and pushed it in a little bit. And this is also for trailering. So when you are driving regular, of course, you want to just leave it in 2-wheel drive, which is, you'll see it over here, 2-wheel drive, normal. And then I can go to 4 high by pressing this button. And then if I want to be in 4 low, you have to be stopped to do that. I think in 4 high you can be going up to like 40 miles an hour to change it. 4 low you got to be stopped and like in park or neutral. Now see, it'll do that. Shift to neutral. So now it's in 4 low. So I'm just going to put it back to 2, which is normal. And you'll also notice, let's try that again. You'll notice when it is in 4 low, your traction control turns off, and that's because it has a locker. It's automatic. You can't control it, but that is why. And your forward collision system, all that stuff, because you can't go very fast. You can only do like 15 miles an hour. So you can set this up for the display and change your gauges down here through the menu. And you can also, here's your seat heater. This is your forward collision alert, so you can adjust how far you want the warning to go off. And that has like some red LEDs that'll flash and beep at you. And then of course you have your cruise control. You actually use this knob to set it, or I'm sorry, to set it or resume it. This cancels it, this turns it on. You can do your phone stuff here. And also on the back of the steering wheel are buttons for volume for your stereo, or if you're using Bluetooth or Android Auto or the Apple connection. And you can scroll through this. I just leave it on that for now, but speed, that's where you would edit it. And you can scroll through the different things. So I want engine hours, off-road, trailer brake gain, which is set here. That's your trailer brake gain, plus and minus. Depending on how heavy or light the trailer is, you would adjust that. Got little indicators over here, directions, what your truck looks like there. And I believe if it's a different color than what this one is, it'll show up. So we'll show all this stuff here. Hit this button here, it goes back. there's my diesel exhaust fluid. The diesel exhaust fluid on the 25 and 3500s is like 7 gallons, and on your 1500 and what they used to put in the Colorado, the diesel in that was like 5 gallons, and that stuff went up in price a lot. I got my transmission fluid, temperature, engine hours, and this is off-road. So this will tell you like if your degree, your angle of descent or ascending, and that would show you your left to right. So if you're up in the mountains and stuff, you can actually see how many degrees downgrade you're going. There's the trailer brake, and this is also kind of nice. It kind of gives you an idea of what the fuel filter life is left, air filter life. It measures your brake pads, oil life. I don't wait till that gets to 0. I change it about every 4,000, 4,500. And with this truck, I do have the maintenance package, which is nice because an oil change on one of these trucks would be very expensive. They do take a lot of oil, and it's just a lot more to go through. And this is your driver assistance that tells you the distance. It won't be active until you're driving. And of course your tire pressures. The front tires take less air than the rear. And if you want to run a timer, you can do that. Trip 2, and you got trip 1. Trip 2, I use this for my oil changes, so I can keep track of how many miles I have in between oil changes, like when I know, alright, I need to make an appointment to get this done. For my dealership, it's usually easier to call them, because if you go online to try to make an appointment, it's like a month away. If I call them, I can get it usually within a week. You can see my average fuel mileage. Haven't been towing a lot, so it's a lot higher. And I usually keep it here just so I can monitor my fuel mileage. You can put it there, but speed limit's up here. This actually is for your lane warning, so it'll keep track of where you're at in the lane. And like I said, you can change these down here. So if you want to change your layout, So if you want to change your layout, I just hit this to the left, and that's your display layout. Left side info, right side info. You can see how it kind of highlights it when you click on it. Lower gauges, page info, units. If you want to go from standard to metric, there's a speed warning. Software info, and you can reset it to display. I kind of like the way it's set up here. I have also the mile an hour over here, up here, and then the RPMs. Kind of keep track of that when you're, especially when you're towing or driving. You can see, to maximize your fuel mileage. And you can see the red line on this, a little over 4,500, so it's probably about 4,600 red line. Way different than a big truck, which is about 2,500. You will blow it up. And we have your interactive over here. This is where you have your Android Auto. If you're going to do trailering, type on that. You can add trailers, subtract trailers. So I have different trailers in here. If you just click on whatever's showing there, you can switch profiles. You can add a new trailer, delete trailers. You can scroll by hand, import from my Chevrolet. There's other things you can do too. You can add alerts, reminders, theft alert, maintenance alerts, things of that nature. Yes, unless they are the GM pressure monitors in the valve stems. You can actually connect them to the truck. There is a special tool for that. These are the phones. Map. I use Android Auto, so I don't have this set up. Music. Some old Bon Jovi. And that's the menu. You have your camera options. So this is the basic view, front, over top, and it's kind of weird because it shows my truck having a sunroof, which it does not, and it also does not show the clearance lights. So there are other options here. I can do this, and then there's another one when they have the two. Actually, let me go back here, so I can change this. That'll be the rear, the front, top, front, top, rear of the truck, and it puts in like these little boundaries around it. And we got the mirrors, so like if you're trailering something, it's kind of hard to drive that way. And then like really narrow. I can look at the hitch, which is nice. To have that when you're backing up to a trailer. And then there is the bed one. Now my toolbox kind of blocks some of that stuff, so if I was trying to use a gooseneck or a fifth wheel, it would be a little bit more difficult with this in the way. And if you want to exit out, just hit the X button. We got different things in my Chevrolet. In the settings, you can set like your clock, your phones, vehicle notifications, connections, date and time, the display, profile and accounts, system, whatever language you want to use, keyboard and speech, storage, security, and I think most of the manufacturers nowadays have the app. So like there's a Chevrolet app. I can lock the truck with the app. I can start it remotely with the app. There's the OnStar stuff. If you join that, so there's just all kinds of different things. Vehicles that come so far, and that they've made them so hard to work on and maybe not last as long. But that's why I want to do this one after a year. You can see I actually have 19,618 miles on it. Luckily I have had no problems with this truck, no issues at all. I do keep it maintained at the dealership. I used to work on vehicles a long time ago. Never got into diesel repairs, but I prefer them in a truck, and I just don't feel like doing the work myself now. I got too much other stuff going on. So down here you can turn on your exhaust brake or off. It's not like driving a big truck where you can actually control it. It'll come on usually like if you're coasting downhill, or sometimes in traffic too. You don't want to use it like in on slick roads. The exhaust brake is the way it'll make the truck slow down. You may lose traction. And this is the lane departure. This is for parking. Like if you're pulling up somewhere to park, the cameras will have sensors on them, and if you get too close or whatnot, it'll give an alert, and it'll actually turn the camera on to whichever way you're going. This is for your tailgate to go down or up. Your hazards, and this is traction control, which right now is on. So if I hit that again, if I hit that, it'll turn it off. If I hit it again, it turns it on. And this is your hill descent to kind of control the transmission going down steep declines. I haven't had that problem. I have towed in Tennessee. I didn't have any problems. And you can also control the transmission manually if you put it in L, put it in L, and I believe that's what gear says it's in. So those are the gears. You can actually do this while driving. I don't know that I would, but if you had to, you can drop it down and it'll go from like 10th gear to 7th gear, so you'll feel a big difference in that. This is your climate control. You got your front defroster, rear defroster, fan speeds, recirculation AC. You can, if it's on sync, these will change together. Turn it off, that way somebody can control their own. And it does have individual seat heater controls. You can do the bottom or the top, and then the 3 dots is hottest, medium, lowest, and then off. Same with the top. I kind of wish they were a little separate, but I do like drive. If I'm going on a long trip, I have found like if you turn the seat heater on, it helps with my back. It kind of keeps it a little bit more relaxed. And you can change your directions, obviously. And for the rear window, that's this control here, and it's not going to show. Maybe you can see it in the mirror. I don't know. Push it up, opens it. It's not automatic, so you got to hold the button. You have your lights, and you just push those on. They're not very bright. They're not like the old style. So they kind of come on slow. They are LED. I don't know if those are showing up or not. And you got your OnStar stuff, passenger airbag, and I believe I've never played with those. Well, something's flashing. It just went off. So it says home, so I'm not sure what that does. I would actually have to look that up. Unless you want to put it in the comments, that would be cool. I do use a dash cam. You've seen my channel, you'll see some postings of my adventures of driving to work very early in the morning. And apparently just last month or 2 months ago, about the time I would be on the road, there was some lady that was going the wrong way and they had her pulled over. It must not have been a day I was working or morning I was working, because I don't remember seeing that. But they always say bad things happen after 2 a.m. and they're not lying. Also on the driver's side, you have the handles to get in. They are on the rear. They do have them on the rear also. I'll turn the truck off. Now if you leave the key, if you leave your key in the truck for a vehicle, when you close the door, you'll get a notice. It'll beep like that, let you know the key is in the vehicle. If it is running and you walk away with the key, we'll try that. So I walk away too far from the truck, I'll close the door. And those are the lights that come on while driving. Truck's gonna make a liar out of me. But usually if you get too far away, it'll beep like it did when you leave the key in there. But you will get that notice too. Alright, how to change cameras. Go from my cheap GoPro knockoff to my cell phone. For some reason that camera's having a card speed error. I have no idea. It's the card that came with the damn camera, so I don't know what's going on. So I'm going to turn on the headlights, and that's the fog lights. Got other lights here. Also got your cruise control stuff here, and this is for the, I'll go ahead and turn that one on. And that's for the bed. And you can see those are bright. That's what happens when you turn on the lights for the bed. You also got lights here on your mirrors. And then also when you turn on the other lights, these will come on too. This obviously isn't on while you're driving. I do think this is kind of cool what Chevy did, put the little bow tie in the side marker lights. And this camera will pick up the LED movement. But you got your fog lights down there. I guess got your headlights. And I guess these would be considered driving lights because they're on all the time. And of course, the clearance lights. We move to the back. They do put a little Chevrolet in here. And these are all LED, so they're gonna probably show up on the camera. And then of course you got your, it's hard to see it, but those are on. Oh, the lights for the bed, and then again you can see the mirror. This button is for the lights that were on the front of the mirror. Turn these off, that off, and we'll turn on the turn signal just so you can see how that works, or how it looks in the front. Kind of cool. And I think I did forget to go over, this is for your wipers, different speeds, washers, which clicking that back is for your brights. And then this is for automatic, so the brights will come on automatically as you're driving in areas where the light may be weak, but if there is an oncoming car, it will actually automatically dim them. I'm going to open the hood, show the engine compartment. And there is a lever right there. Push it in, push up, it goes up. So your air intake comes down. It goes in here to go to the air filter. That is for water drainage. That is the engine, 6.6 liter Duramax. I believe it's like 470 horsepower, 975 foot-pounds of torque, which is pretty good considering what the old 6.5 turbo diesels used to be. I think they were like down in the 200s and 400s or something. 200 something horsepower and 400 pounds plus of torque. I had one back in, it was a 93 GMC. Never had a problem pulling with it. Of course, it didn't have the transmissions that these have, which really help out a lot. Single battery, which is nice for a diesel. Everybody says, oh, you get a diesel, you gotta buy 2 batteries. No, this one's got one. Turbo stuff over here, and just dead dragonfly. Not gonna go over it too much. I mean, I was an automotive technician many moons ago. Never really worked on diesels that much. I know the basics of them, but I'll let somebody else play with that stuff. So I'm not the tallest guy in the world, so there's no way I'm reaching the front of that hood. So I had to kind of grab it from over here and kind of walk around. I don't want to pull it all the way down. And it'll close like that. As far as ride height goes on this, it's right about 40 inches in the front. And just over 41 in the back. And if I remember correctly, my 1500 Trail Boss had about the same clearance here, about 40 inches when I measured them. And I think that's because the 1500 comes with 2 inches of extra lift from the factory. When I pulled my 1500 up to another truck similar to this, I mean same package, and looked at the hoods and measured that, there was a 3-inch difference. This was 3 inches taller. I'm just going to go over the information as far as weights and whatnot on the truck go. The gross vehicle weight rating is 12,250 pounds. So the truck itself, the curb weight is 8345. So you can have almost 4,000 more pounds on the truck. That's without any trailering, without anything, because you have a 3905 max payload. So those two should not exceed 1250. Your gross combined weight rating is 30,000 pounds. So that would mean truck, trailer, whatever you got loaded with it. And then your rear gross axle weight rating is 7250. So that would be whatever the tongue weight is of the vehicle, or if you're using a fifth wheel, that's the max you can have on your rear wheels. And that gets measured if you go to the scales at a weigh station. So if you're carrying a conventional trailer, which would be like a tongue bumper pull, 20,000 pounds, and the max tongue weight for that is 2,000 pounds. And of course they got the stuff in kilograms too. If you're carrying a gooseneck, you can have a trailer up to 21,490 pounds. And that tongue weight for that is 32,240, which you'll notice is less than your max payload in your bed. So just be aware of that. And then you got the other information here for your tires, rims. Again, the load rating for your rear axle, the max you can have on the front would be 6,000, but these two obviously add up more than 12,250, so you have to be careful of that. All right, I want to do a little demo while driving the truck, and just to see fuel mileage after about 4.5 miles. Also, this road isn't the smoothest, but the ride in the 3500 isn't that bad. Some people will say it's very rough, feel every bump, kind of, sort of, but I think they've come a long way with their suspensions, and it's really not that bad. I don't have any problems with back hurting or anything like that when riding on rough roads. I mean, granted, it is going to be stiffer, simply because it has to be. It's a heavier duty suspension, so you're going to feel a little bit more. May hear a little bit more, but other than that, everything's good. So we've gone about another 5.5 miles. You can see on the display over to the right of this, my miles per hour, it says 60, and that is the speed limit in the area for this road. I wouldn't rely on that 100%. It's not always accurate. It's usually pretty close, but again, it's not something you want to rely on, especially if you get pulled over and try to tell the cops, well, my dashboard said. They're not going to buy it. To the left of the speedometer is for your lane warning. So if I go over a little bit here, it should tell me, you'll see it'll flash and give a little beep. The speed limit here is 60, but there is a truck up there with a big tractor on the back of it, kind of holding people up. You can see the mileage, fuel mileage is increased to an average of 18 miles to the gallon. Continue at this speed and this pace, if I were to go for a while without stopping, it would definitely hit over 20 miles to the gallon. Not bad for a truck that weighs well over 8,000 pounds. And also has the range. That is an estimate. They're not very accurate, I have found, especially it depends when you start doing city driving and whatnot. But just taking an average of what your fuel mileage is, it can be pretty close, but definitely not completely accurate. While towing, I've gotten anywhere from like 8 to 12 miles to the gallon, maybe sometimes up to 13, depending on what I'm towing. Even sometimes with the camper, which weighs over 7,000 pounds, it does okay. It was weird because of my 1500, even though it was struggling harder, I could get like 12 to 15 miles a gallon on it. This truck seems to be a little less. It's a bigger truck, obviously. So that is my review of my own 2025 Chevy Silverado 3500 HD Trail Boss with the long bed. Please feel free to leave comments or questions below. I appreciate you watching the video today. I know there's debates about newer vehicles versus older vehicles, the quality of the vehicles, how long they last, things of that nature, and I get it, I see it. I have not had any problems with this truck, luckily, after a year. So knock on wood, that continues. I don't know how long I'll keep the truck. I do have some plans in the future. We'll see what happens. I did originally intend to do part-time hot shotting with this truck, and that's one reason I went with the 3500. I didn't want to go with the dually because in case want to go off-roading or something, this truck is more than capable of doing that. But what the insurance used to be compared to what it is now, it made no sense for me to even try to do hot shotting part-time, because you're looking around in Florida almost $2,000 a month just for the insurance, and that's with the $1 million coverage, which I guess most companies want you to have when you're hauling their stuff. So I gave up that idea, and so I won't be doing any hot shotting anytime soon. I have a CDL, but you can do hot shotting, without a CDL, as long as you keep it under 26,500, which obviously this truck is capable of doing. Can do up to 30, which I would never max out a truck, but that's my opinion. As far as longevity goes, and just less wear and tear, in my opinion. My opinion is just my opinion, doesn't mean that's fact. But I do appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully you can subscribe to the channel. I'll have different kinds of content, like product reviews. I do have some DIY projects coming up, and of course I have the goats, Lucy and Millie. So if you want to see videos of them, videos of what it's like driving to work at 2 o'clock in the morning, the things you see and things people are doing on the road that they shouldn't be doing. So just like, subscribe, share, I do appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.